All right, guys, what's going on? Justin from 79th Productions, and today we are going to be trying to figure out what's going on with this D16Z6 engine that we're going to be putting in the hatchback. Hopefully it's something simple, and we're going to get into that right now. All right, guys, so we have this D16Z6. Now, this is the one I pulled out of the red car that had low compression in the two center cylinders. So we're going to go through this thing now, and we're going to try to figure out what's going on with it. Hopefully, I can pull the head off and see that it's something in the head, but hopefully it's not the rings or anything like that where it needs a rebuild. Hopefully I could get away with maybe swapping the valves and doing a head gasket job, but we'll see. Let's tear this thing apart. Just pull this thing off. All right, guys, so this is something important. When you pull off that crank pulley, make sure you don't lose this little key. We're just gonna pull all of this off because we're probably gonna change the timing belt anyways. We're gonna loosen the tensioner. Just loosen it up a little bit. And we're going to pull this spring out. That way it can come down. Now you see, once I pulled that spring out and it took tension off of that, the belt is completely loose. So right now this thing will just slide off pretty easy. And all right, guys, so we're going to start loosening these bolts. And this is a 14 millimeter. Gonna just loosen them up a little bit, and then we'll use the impact to take them completely off. All right, guys, so we got all the bolts off now, and that actually lifted up easier than I thought it would. But we're pulling this off and the head is off. All right, guys, so here goes the engine. Now all of these cylinders look to be in good shape. Got a lot of carbon buildup on them, but as far as like these little lines in here, they're not deep. There's no grooves. So I think we're gonna be good with that. All right, guys, so here's the head. we got this thing off, and we're just gonna rotate this over. And so we found out what's going on. You see these valves, guys? These valves, let me see, hopefully you can see them. They are pretty chewed up. I don't know if that's a burnt valve or just cracked valve. I mean, normally these heads are so cheap, I just replaced them. You could get them at the junkyard for $100, 90 bucks, something like that. But the price went up on everything, so I'm just gonna go ahead and swap these things out and not rebuild the head, but just replace what's wrong with it. These valves, these two. Now you see, guys, it's the center two. Hopefully I'm getting a good angle here. It's the center two that did not have compression, and these two are completely chewed up on the end. So I'm pretty sure, about 95% sure, that's the problem. So we're gonna go ahead and fix that. Now we're gonna just pull this off, set it to the side, and the cam's gonna go out, come out, and we can start working on that valve. All right, guys, so we already got one of these valves out, and here's what I'm using. This is a valve spring compressor from Harbor Freight. It was like $7. And it was actually a clearance item. Not the best tool to use, but it does work. We're just gonna put this over that, and it kind of feels like it's not really designed for this. But what I noticed when I pulled this one out, you have to keep on, like, you have to keep pressure on it, holding it in, else it slides off. So if you're ever using these, be careful. See, it just slid off again. So a lot of you guys who think that I do stuff like this all the time, and yeah, this is a first for me. So hopefully it can work. Now we're gonna use this magnet. Boom. Oh, look at that, guys. One of them came out. And let's see if this other one is still held in. Now, one of the keepers came out. So, guys, be real careful when doing this. These springs do have pressure. They have tension on them. So, you know, this isn't exactly the safest thing to do, but, you know, I am on a budget and trying to save some machine cost here. So, that just popped off. Yeah, the other one slid out. The retainer came out. And here's the spring. Now, guys, when you're doing this, see, here's that burnt valve. And we're just gonna drop it off, pop it out. And if you could see right there, guys, that thing is burnt from the backside. Hopefully I'm picking this up on camera good. But yeah, now we're just gonna change this out. Guys, a lot of you guys are gonna say I shouldn't do this, but we are doing a $2 fix on this thing. I went to the junkyard, picked up some valves from another head. The head that I got these valves off of was already off the car, so these were in good shape. So what I'm gonna do, guys, this is a $2 fix. This is gonna be super cheap. And we also got some valve grinding compound. But first, we're just gonna let these sit in there, and look at that starting to bubble up. Now this is just parts cleaner. Had a bunch of that laying around, so we're gonna let that sit in there for probably a good 30 minutes to an hour and let it get all that carbon buildup off. And now, guys, we should have just took this head to a machine shop and taken all these valves out. I wanted to take them out, but with this tool, it's kind of a hard job to do, so I just stopped at the two that I need to do. I am gonna hit the bottom of this head and trying to get some of this clean with parts cleaner and a wire brush. But for now, we're just gonna focus on these two. That's where we're losing compression from. And we're gonna let them things sit for a while. All right, guys, so we let this sit. Now, it did a decent job at taking some of the carbon off, but what I'm just gonna do is I'm gonna hit the bottom with the wire brush. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because I'm gonna use this tool to put place on here to spin it inside, to make it spin when I put the lapping compound. So we just wanna try to get this to sit as best as possible, and it's coming pretty clean so far. All right, guys, so I want to show you guys what I'm gonna do. Since I'm gonna be spinning, there's gonna be friction, so I'm gonna coat inside the valve with a little bit of oil. We're gonna coat that with some oil. That way when we spin, it doesn't mess anything up. Now, I'm also gonna put some lapping compound on the end of this, not too much. You guys, you don't want to use too much of this. You don't want it to spin all around on the valve guide. So we're just gonna do that. Now that that's there, we're gonna slide that in. Just like that. And guys, this is the elbow grease part of the job. Now that that's in there, we want to take our tool and we want to kind of plunge it on there. And you see there's a suction cup. Now, guys, you can hear that grinding. We're just going to continue to turn this. Let me move so you can see that valve turning. Now, guys, this is not going to be perfect. You see how it came off? It takes some work, but we're gonna keep doing this. Put a little pressure as you turn down. Now, guys, as it starts to smoothen out, you're gonna hear a pitch change while you're doing this. Let me recenter this tool. You see, it kind of changed. You can hear it smoothing out. It doesn't sound as rough anymore. Now let's pull that out. We are gonna pull that out, clean off the valve, and it's looking good so far. We want to go just a little more. We want to get that thing, we want to get it really shiny. Now, it's shiny, so you can see that the valve is seating, but we're just going to keep going and do it a little bit more. All right, guys, so we are on pass number 3. And we got that lapping compound in there. And we're just going to do the best we can with this. We got some good compound. You can hear it. Just change pitch. We are going to do this as best as we can. And we're going to pull that out and we're going to clean it off. That was actually sticking to that really good. Guys, that valve, it looks so much better where it connects. And let's see the surface of the head. Clean that off a bit. And that thing is fully, yeah, I think that valve's fully seated in there. It looks so much better. I'll give you guys a close-up right now. So guys, here this one goes, and that thing just looks so much better. Now you look at this one, you can see there's a major difference. There's so much carbon on there, but this was the same. We got all that out with that lapping compound. Now we're just gonna clean this out just to make sure there's no more compound in there. But we're gonna move on to this one and get this one done. All right, guys, so what we're gonna do now is we're just gonna spray a little parts cleaner in here, and we are going to clean this off. Now I've already been cleaning it out. Now we just want to get all of the valve lapping compound out of here. All right, guys, so here's what I want to show you. I already installed that valve. I'm gonna show you how I install these things. We're just gonna set that in there just like that. Drop that one in. Now here's what I'm doing, guys. I'm gonna use this, a little piece of napkin, paper towel, and we're gonna set that under the back side of it. That way the valve won't drop. We're just gonna set that. Now you see when I push down on it, it's not gonna go down. All right, guys, so here's how I do these, how I put them on. Now, if you could see, I just took 2 zip ties and kind of put them inside the spring. Now what we're gonna do is, we got those zip ties in the spring. Now we're gonna take a C-clamp. We're gonna take a C-clamp. We're gonna set this spring in between the C-clamp. And guys, this is what I do. Now, I was trying to use that spring compressor. It was a lot easier to get those out than it is to get them back on. So I'm just gonna C-clamp this thing down. And as I put it down, I'm gonna tighten these zip ties. You can hear it clicking. That way we got some tension on this spring. We could keep that tension on the spring. So let's just tighten that down and get those things on there as tight as possible. And then we're gonna release this and put the valve back on. So now that we got that those zip ties on tight as possible, we're just gonna release this. And see, the zip tie is keeping the spring down some. So we're gonna go ahead and put this on, and then we're done. We'll just cut the zip ties off once we got the retainer on, and it'll spring up and lock it in place. All right guys, so I cut these ends off the zip ties. That way we got a little more wiggle room in here. We just put that spring on. We're gonna put this retainer. Now you see how there is just enough room to slide in the locks. We're gonna turn that one around. We'll set this one in. Hopefully you guys can see this. So now that bottom one is set in. This top one up. Let's wiggle that around, make some more room for it. Try to push down, and so we need to go down just a little bit more, and there it goes. We got it. So now it is set in there, and now that it's set in there, I can cut the zip ties. All right guys, so that thing is set in there now, and I'm gonna come through, and I'm just holding the top just in case this thing wants to pop up on me. There we go, that one's out, and that one's out. Now there's no more tension. I'm gonna just pull these zip ties out now. There we go, that one's out. That one's out. And guys, you give it a little tap. That thing is seated in there, and that's not going nowhere. Cheap and easy way to do this. Keep those things oiled up as best as possible. I'm gonna set these in here. Just like that. And what we're gonna do is pour a little more oil across the top of this thing. Too much oil can never hurt. All right guys, so we're gonna put this whole assembly back on. Now it's easier to have a set of hands to help you with this, but we do not have that right now, so we're just gonna have to make this work. Now make sure guys, you see right here, I got this. This is in the wrong position, so you wanna make sure all of these are up where they're supposed to be, and that way it could sit down right. Let's try to, we are almost there. And guys, be really careful. You don't want to damage your cam trying to put these in. So we got that. There we go. It's all sitting down the way it should, and we could put this top piece on now. We're just gonna put a little bit of oil anywhere the metal connects, makes contact to each other. We're just gonna set that in there. We're gonna set this piece on. Now guys, if this does not just drop in just like that did, something is wrong in here. Now you can have one of these facing down, one of those the other rocker arms facing down like I showed you that I just had. So all of this should just drop right in. It should just drop right in, and you should be able to just drop these bolts in, screw them in pretty easy. Now this one is taking its time going in, but it's in there, it's in the right place. So we're just gonna move on. These should just go in. Everything just drops right in. Don't know what's going on with this one. There it goes. There we go. That's in. We're just going to screw all of these in, and then we're going to torque them down. I'm going to go ahead and torque these down. Alright guys, so we got this thing back together, and you know, I just wanted to show you guys how to repair the valve. Now, if you want to see head gaskets and timing belt videos and stuff like that, I didn't show that. There's a lot of those out there, and I'm already going to be working on another one of those videos. So, you know, I didn't show that this time, but we got this thing back together. D16 Z6, and guys, this is a super cheap repair. A lot of people are gonna say, man, you should have took it to the machine shop and had the whole thing done. And yeah, I didn't. They quoted me at 250 bucks, and I didn't want to spend that into this engine. Once again, a lot of you guys are gonna say, man, that's not the way to do it. But guys, I've done this before, put these engines in cars like this before, and 3-4 years later the car's still running. So, you know, I mean, I've done it before. So might not be the best way to do it, but the car will run and it will drive fine. There'll be compression. It won't be at 0 compression anymore. So, you know, this is a cheap fix. All right, guys, that's it. We're gonna wrap the video up here, and hopefully you enjoyed this. Just wanted to show you a super cheap way to fix an engine. A lot of these cars end up in the junkyard because of something like this. Most of the times people think they can't fix them, and you can, guys. You just gotta put a little effort into it. Now, this engine was something that I pulled out the other car to swap into it, and guys, it is always cheaper to build what you have. So that's why I did this. We went this route because we were just trying to throw something in the car to get this car built as cheap as possible. A lot of people are going to say, man, you should have went B series, you should have went K series. Guys, that's not what this channel is about. This is about building on a budget. Now, you can build on a budget with those engines, but guys, it is always cheapest to use what you already have. So with that being said, guys, I had maybe no more than 50 bucks into fixing this, guys. The 2 valves were $1 a piece. The lapping compound was like $5 or $6. The tool that I used to turn the valves was like $5, and the eBay head gaskets and everything I used to put it back together was like another 25-30 bucks for the entire kit. So pretty cheap. This was definitely under 50 bucks, and I'm super excited about this one, guys. In the next video, we are going to be putting everything back together, the clutch, the tranny, everything, and we're gonna be putting it in the car and firing it up. So yeah, that's it, guys. I'm gonna wrap this one up. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook at 79th Productions. If you would like to help support the channel, pick up some merchandise, I'll put the link in the description. That definitely helps out a lot because all the funds from the merchandise goes directly into building these cars, and it helps. So that's it, guys. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you guys on the next one. God bless you guys.